Hello and welcome to Spa-Francorchamps for this final round in the final race in the opening round of the 2023 Spanish Formula 4 Championship. It's a nice, cool morning. Still very, very dry, although expecting inclement weather later on today. Hopefully too late to affect this race. What I can tell you is we have a new pole position sitter for this season, at least. Valerio Rinicella sits on pole position. He's just got Chiara Alzira alongside. Alzira, of course, who was the pole position man for yesterday's race. Didn't work out well for him. He retired after going off. You see on screen there now the number 23. It's 6 on the grid. That's Christian Ho, who's had a second place and a 26th place, and leaves him at this very early stage second in the standings. It has been a very, very successful weekend for a man you probably would have seen on screen maybe just a few moments ago. He's starting fourth on the grid. It is Pedro Clerot, who's taking one pole position and 2 race wins so far. And it was, I have to say, it has been a really fantastic performance by Clerot. All through. He's not led completely, but he's both races he's lost the lead and been really biding his time and actually retaken it late on in each race and kind of ran unchallenged to the flag. You can see the grid slowly but surely is clearing out as we get close to the beginning of this race. Noah Lyle getting a pat on the helmet before the start of this race. This is Noah Stromstead, who led very briefly yesterday and then lost the lead after a safety car period and basically really tumbled down the order. Once the safety car came in, he struggled to hold on, dropped down to 7th position, did regain 1 position and ended up 6th, but it was a disappointing end to what had been a very, very, very promising day up until that point. And we'll go through the full grid in a moment. There were a few penalties applied after yesterday's race. There was some collisions, as we see. And we can see last little adjustments being made. Marshals informing all of the excess mechanics that they need to leave the circuit. On screen there, that's Jesse Carrasquara, who's had a tricky weekend so far. I think it's not unreasonable to say he's at a 12th place finish and a 25th place finish so far. He started towards the back yesterday. Didn't really make too much progress as the race went on. Definitely a lot more of a steady race yesterday. The conditions were much brighter. You see the grid on screen now, Rinicella ahead of Alzira. De Palo is a good qualifying for him to be third for Campos Racing. And then you have Pedro Clerot alongside, starting 4th on row 2. And on row 3, you have Federico Al Rifai for Cartlin Motorsport with Christian Ho alongside. Christian Ho, of course, a second-year racer, as is Daniel Nogales, starting 7th place for Drive X School. Noah Stromstead starting 8th. Eric Genet starting 9th in the Technicar Formula de Campagnos entry alongside Fernando Barrichello. It's 10th on the grid, while Enzo Deligny, the Red Bull racer, starts alongside Theodore O'Neill in the Santa Luc Racing Machine. Ricardo Grazia from Motorland Motorsport has Griffin Peebles in Technicar Formula de Campagnos entry, 14th on the grid. Then you got Geronimo Berrio and Carl Bennett for GRS, making out the 8th row. On row 9, there is Alexander Bolduev. He's got Flavio Oliveri alongside. Oliveri got a penalty post-race yesterday for a jump start. Jessica Carrasquara starts 19th with Pablo Sarrazin, 20th for Motorland Motorsport. And then 21st on the grid, Juan Cota with Alex Ninovich, who had a very good race yesterday in his Carlin machine. Then you got Georgi Zuravsky, 23rd alongside Alvis Rodella. And then 25th, Noah Lyle, who had a very strong race yesterday, was running high up the order and eventually finished fifth. He's had a 6th and a 5th place finish so far. Daniel Matzia returning alongside with Theodor Jensen and Maximiliano Restrepo rounding out the 14th row. And then at the back of the grid, Luciano Morano and Alexander Abskahava for DriveX Motorsport. As mentioned, several penalties towards the back. The first being for Alzira. He will have a drop of 5 grid places for the next round for changing of positions and causing a collision. Oh, sorry, my apologies. That's not Alzira. That was car 35, which was Flavio Oliveri. My apologies. Absakava also had a grid drop for causing a collision. And there was another, it was for Luciano Morano, also got a grid drop. He caused a collision on the safety car, which is such something. The safety car was called out during yesterday's race. And the driver ahead of him saw the yellow flag and slowed down. But Morano didn't and pretty much ran into the back. Well, it didn't cause a crash. It was just a really bump, but it was one that definitely got the steward's attention. As we're now on the dummy grid to this race. Field come up Kemmel straight. Into the right, left of Lecombe, and then into Bruxelles. Such famous corners, this incredible circuit, which is such history of success and tragedy. But for these drivers at Formula 4, this is just the beginning. And still damp offline. It was, I believe it was raining overnight. And there are certain sections of this circuit which do take a long time to fully dry out. It's not wet by any stretch of imagination, but definitely greasy. Not an area of the circuit where one would expect to go offline anyway. But there are areas where you do need to take a little bit of care, and you do need to take a little bit of care on the curbs here at Spa-Francorchamps, because you really can maintain a little bit of dampness, a little bit of water in those grooves. So you're probably somewhat more wary here than you would be at most of the circuits. As the leading order with Rinicella at the front. Rinicella was actually towards the front yesterday for a good time as well. But then he too kind of fell back slightly before coming back to the front. Challenged Clerot for the lead and the last safety car restart. Clerot really hung him out to dry in Lecombe. Looked as if Rinicella was going to lose several more positions, but he regained everything, regained his composure, and was able to keep that second position. Not necessarily what he would have wanted. He was going for the lead, but the positive results either way. It leaves him fifth in the standings with 17 points. But, you know, it's so early on in the season, it's barely even worthwhile talking about points at this stage. The field now pulling onto the grid. Start, finish straight. And on the left-hand side of your screen, in the kind of orange entry with the white number box, the number 55, that is Rinicella, and then alongside him in a black car with the black number box, number 14, Chiara Alzira, and just behind in the white car, the number 8, Matteo de Palo, and fourth on the grid is another orange machine, the MP Motorsport car, the championship leader and twice race winner, Pedro Clerot. We should get the green flag in a few moments' time from the man at the back of the grid. And we're waiting as the last driver pulls into his grid slot. The flag comes out, is waved semi-vigorously. The lights count down, and we have 5 red lights. And the race is on. And it's a good start by Rinicella, a good start by De Palo. Alzira drops down to nearly 4th position. Clerot's going to go for 3rd place, doesn't quite make it. Alzira keeps her on the outside and tries to retake 2nd position from De Palo. And hasn't quite made it through this time. I do believe that's Campos Racing's Christian Ho in 5th place, just behind Clerot. And Al Rifai has dropped down to 6th position. And the drivers towards the rear of the grid, taking to the runoff area at Radion. Rinicella leads. He's got Alzira just behind, getting the draft. Then in the middle, you've got De Palo. Clerot trying to retake another position, doesn't quite make it. Al Rifai locks up his wheels, goes clean off into the runoff area. He's going to have to take a little bit of a long way around. Although it's not that much of a long way around because he's still very much able to keep his foot in it all the way through, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We'll address that later on. Rinicella continues to lead Alzira in 2nd place. De Palo in 3rd, and that is Clerot fighting very, very hard to keep Christian Ho just behind. Ho on the outside line, Clerot on the inside line, hugging the curb somewhat and maintaining that position. Al Rifai, oh, someone else has gone clean off the track as well. Very, very, very careful, still damp, don't want to get too much damage. Noah Lyle darting out of the rail last second to avoid a collision. Al Rifai, I wonder if the stewards are going to be looking at it like he's pretty much slotted straight back into 6th position. No penalty whatsoever for locking up and missing Lecombe altogether. There's a cool gaggle of cars towards the rear of the field, close together. And certainly it is... and we have a no-starter list, by the way. Noah Stromstead, it does not look as if has made the start. The only driver on timing and scoring who's not appearing to have any updates whatsoever, Noah Lyle, going down the inside of, I think that was Juan Cota in the entry into the Blanchimont Apex. That is a very risky move, a very, very, very brave. And we see Rinicella leading from Alzira, who's gotten past De Palo. That is Clerot still in 4th position. Christian Ho is 5th. Theodore Neal has taken Al Rifai for 6th place as well. And 8th place is Enzo Deligny in the Red Bull livery car. Eric Genet has dropped down to 9th. Geronimo Berrio is 10th place. We'll see Carrasquara battling to get into the top 10 as well, while also fending off Barrichello just around him as a GRS machine in that pack too. Carl Bennett and Daniel Matzia fighting for positions in the 2nd half of the order. Several drivers being very, very, very brave with the runoff area at Radion. And through Lecombe, Berrio now up to 9th place, by the way, as we see there's number 41 and the number 19, that's Fernando Barrichello, battling with Eric Genet. Yellow flags being waved. I thought that the bus stop chicane, haven't had any notification on my screen yet as to what that is for, but there we go. It is one of the Rodin Carlin machines, and that is Noah Lyle off circuit. It looks like he's lost his front wing and will most likely be a safety car, because that Carlin machine does not look like it's going to move anytime soon. Yeah, yellow flags out around the circuit, and the safety car has been called. In the early stages of this race, we were on the 2nd lap. A collision towards the end of the opening lap. Seeing Noah Lyle out of this race. He's had a good weekend so far. That, of course, is not. That is Lecombe, surely. Irrespective, matters little to Noah Lyle. His day is done, and as I said, disappointing weekend, disappointing race considering he's actually had a positive weekend so far. Would have finished 5th in race 2, finished 6th in race 1. He thumps the barrier with disappointment. And the field slows. So yeah, 2 front wings there. Going to keep an eye out for the anyone else in the pits. Alexander Bolduev is a driver I'm expecting to have some damage. The Drive X entry, and we will see in a few moments' time if he is going to pop into the pit lane. I've not actually seen his car trundling around anywhere, and I've not seen him in the gravel either. And the driver's weaving back and forth, trying to keep as much heat in the tyres as they can. As I said, relatively cool morning, 13 degrees Celsius. Field led by Rinicella, who's looked actually quite confident and assured up front so far. Very, very positive. I mean, he's only really had one lap of competition. There is number 54, and that is Bolduev's Drive X machine. And that, to me, looks like another section of Lecombe. So my assumption, that is an assumption, two front wings broken, they've probably gone in, maybe locked wheels, gone in side by side through the chicane, and bish bash bosh are out of the race. As they come down to Camel Straight now. Rinicella's race, or a possibility for a race win, was slightly undone under the safety car restart. It did give him the opportunity to take Clerot for the win, as we see Lyle's car being removed by the JCB. Hopefully that means we'll actually be able to get green very, very soon. And there's a lot of Formula One lineage in the grid this weekend. It was always fun. It's mentioned by Jack Monahan in the comments. You got there's Pedro Sarrazin and Marc Gené's. Their nephews are on the grid. Or Pablo Sarrazin is the nephew, the son of Stefan Sarrazin. Marc Gené's nephew, Eric Gené, is on the grid. It's the son of Jordi Gené. And of course, Fernando Barrichello, the youngest son of Rubens Barrichello, is also racing today. And his slightly older brother, Eduardo Barrichello, races. Last time I saw him, he was racing in Formula Regional Europe, I believe. Interesting, actually. Eduardo Barrichello, I was talking to Rubens Barrichello, this is a couple of years ago, and it was a point in Fernando Barrichello's career where he was actually considering the possibility of giving up racing and going down the route of being a professional footballer, to the point where he and Rubens, his father, would actually train together. They would do free kick practice and whatnot, which I always thought was quite sweet. Barrichello, Rubens, on that occasion, telling me that, well, his father didn't necessarily know a huge amount about motorsport while he was racing, and so when Rubens started racing, his father made an incredible effort to kind of really get to know all about motorsport and learn about motorsport and kind of invest that time with his son. Rubens was doing the same thing with Fernando, but the time since, Fernando has kind of returned to the fold of car racing. And Eduardo is racing in stock car Brazil at the moment, according to Wikipedia. Jack Monahan also mentions Brando Bador is racing in Formula 4. And that actually makes me feel really, really, really old, because I remember very well when all those guys were racing in their pomp in the 90s. And that frightens me somewhat, because it makes me feel very, very old. One driver not feeling old on screen is Enzo Deligny, the number 17 Red Bull liveried machine. Driving for Campos Racing, he just turned 15, actually, a few weeks ago. And that scares me. I think he was born after Kimi Raikkonen's title. My word. Safety car is in this lap. The team manager for Monlo Motorsports has been told to report to the stewards immediately. I don't have any particular reason why coming up on screen yet. But I'm sure we will be informed shortly. We've completed 3 laps. This is lap 4. Race will restart with the 5th lap in probably, by the time they get round to start finish straight, maybe 12 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Just an acknowledgement as well that this round is a bit of an outlier for this season because of the timing, the schedule for this weekend is really jam-packed, lots of racing going on. So the race lengths are representative of what previously Spanish Formula 4 race. So the 3 races, we've had 2 25-minute races plus 1 lap, and the short race, which was 18 minutes plus 1 lap. Well, that changes from the next round onwards. The new representative race lengths for Spanish Formula 4, the longer races will be 30 minutes plus 1 lap, and the shorter race will be 25 minutes plus 1 lap. The points sharing system will remain the same. So the points don't change, but the lengths of the actual races do. So from the next round at Motorland Aragon onwards, the races will be longer and there will be more fun for the likes of us. As we watched safety car speed away now, Valerio Rinicella slows the field up, compresses the field, weaving his car around left to right. Not many others behind him doing the same as the field really compresses. It just really showcases just how many drivers are in the field this year. 27 in this race left. Bolduev and Noah Lyle are out. Noah Stromstead did not start. On screen is number 28, the returning Daniel Mazzia. And Valerio Rinicella is about to set off now as he comes into the right and the left-hand corners on bus stop. Some drivers getting very eager back in the pack, but the race is green now. 11 minutes and 40 seconds plus 1 lap remaining. Rinicella continues his lead, trying to break the draft to Alzira. De Palo in 3rd place, Clerot 4th, and Christian Ho's 5th, with Theodore Neal in 6th position in his Santalak Racing entry. Coming down the run towards the dip in Eau Rouge, and then Alega will flick back up towards Radion, and we have a spinner. It is Georgi Zuravsky in the DriveX entry, and he's gone right the way around. But we have a fantastic move there. That is the Flavio Oliveri, who's just got past Daniel Nogales. Rinicella continues to lead. Alexari having a challenge on the outside from De Palo, but can he maintain the position? He can, but De Palo holding it to the outside, goes clean off the circuit. As does, oh my word, as does Alexari. That's going to hurt. He's going to launch in the air and come slap back down. I'll be surprised if the stewards do not investigate that, as Clerot goes clean around the outside of Alexari. But does he complete the move around Bruxelles? I don't think so, because Alexari seems to have shoved Clerot clean off the circuit. Clerot holds it in anyway and goes down the inside, and I do believe we're going to see Christian Ho pass Alexari as well. Now, there may be damage to the underside of Alexari's car, or either that, or he's in probably quite a bit of pain, because that would have been a hell of a slap down. Alexari is going to try and hold on anyway. He's got Ho still alongside. Ho dips in just behind as we go to a replay to see a spin and possibly a collision. No, just a spin on his own. Zarafsky was towards the back anyway, but spinning formally to the rear of the field. Barrichello has passed Ninovic into the top 10, but that matters little to Rinicella, who leads ahead of De Palo. And you got Clerot in third place. Alzira is fourth. He's still holding off the challenger Christian Ho. Well, Deligny is still there. Theodore O'Neill looking to pick up any pieces of something that may or may not happen. I do believe that is Deligny going around the inside of Christian Ho, but doesn't quite make the move. Theodore O'Neill has seen an opportunity because Deligny is now offline. And Neil does go to the inside to take the Red Bull Junior, to take that position. Christian Ho still not quite has enough to get past Alzira, but I think Theodore O'Neill has enough to get past Christian Ho. Around the outside, and he does. That is fantastic. Wonderful move. Theodore O'Neill taking two positions pretty much in one go, but now he's going to be under threat as they all, oh my word, as a gaggle coming down through Eau Rouge and into Aragon. 6 cars in one bunch, basically. Alzira going off the circuit again to try and maintain that position, getting a little bit desperate in some of his defenses, it must be said, but Theodore O'Neill now on the inside line, with Alzira on the outside. Deligny trying to get a draft, as is Al Rifai. The 3 wide coming into Lacombe. Neil is passed by Deligny, who then goes off circuit. Oh my word! Alzira goes off circuit again. Deligny goes far the inside onto the gravel. Is going to come back on. I think Theodore O'Neill is going to come out the head of that pack. That is Barrichello in the pack as well, trying to maintain position, locking up as he does. Well, Alzira ahead of Deligny. I think that's Barrichello there. Absolutely frantic racing. And out front, Rinicella just driving away with De Palo in second place, but the gap really is still very small. It's only 7/10 of a second. You cannot rest on your laurels whatsoever, but the real meaty racing is happening from 4th position onwards. And see, the whole field is still very much together. There is an investigation too for Alex Ninovic, currently 11th place, safety car procedure, so that could be a restart issue. We'll see in a few moments' time. It is Rinicella leads from De Palo. Clerot in 3rd place. Hasn't really pushed for the win yet. Holding his time. Theodore O'Neill in 4th position. Alzira is 5th. Enzo Deligny 6th. Christian Ho down at 7th. Fernando Barrichello up to 8th. Geronimo Barrio is 9th. Alex Ninovic is 10th. Al Rifai has dropped down to 11th place. It's like little kind of ants just dancing around the track. So many cars, so many drivers everywhere, all vying for a position and all coming down into really tight sections and clumps like this. Oliveri, I think, chasing down Daniel Matzia in the field. And again, clumps of cars coming through Lacombe as Flavio Oliveri in the blue machine. One of the GRS entries completely misses the chicane. And I would not be surprised if there's potentially several post-race penalties. And you don't want to do that. Oh, no, and we have an accident. Oh, and that is going to be a safety car. And that was, unfortunately, I think Carl Bennett trying to move down the inside in his GRS entry. Yeah, it is. It was Carl Bennett trying to move and completely lost the car on the inside. All the other drivers, including his teammate, Daniel Matzia, took avoiding action, and the field below or behind them just kind of clumped together. And this is what I was fearing might happen. Bennett down the inside, he's never going to make that corner in a million years. Neither is the driver behind, who is Jessica Esquada, who's gone over the top of, I think that might have been Pablo Sarrazin. So two drivers, Carrasquada and Carl Bennett, they're really diving into that corner. Never in a million years were they going to make that corner. And I think they'll probably be told that when they get back to the pits as well. But nose dived in, back end of the car stepped out. Too much braking to actually make the corner. He was never going to stop. And Carrasquada went over the top. And I think that was Sarrazin he landed on top of. And it's incredible that Sarrazin has got out of that fairly much unscathed. Or has he? Yeah, I think that is the Motorland Motorsport entry of, you can see on the overalls there. You can also see in the car, just by the cockpit, is the this insignia of VAR. That is Van Amersfoort Racing, and effectively what Motorland Motorsport is the kind of training ground for mechanics and engineers for Motorland Motorsport, for Van Amersfoort, under the Motorland Motorsport entry. So realistically, it's drivers who they hope to see progress further in motorsport, and this is kind of a very good cost-effective training ground for them. As you see, Carrasquada's car being lifted away. Daniel Matzia, by the way, has entered into the pit lane. And Carl Bennett has been taken out of the gravel and has gone back to the pit lane as well, but that will be day done for him. I got to be honest, I'm not convinced we're going to see this race restart. To clear Carrasquada's car out of the gravel and also get rid of Sarrazin's car. I don't see a scenario where they're going to do that in the 3 minutes remaining. Oh, you never know. If they work fast. If they work really fast. If they work really, really, really fast. We've had 7 laps completed. This is lap 8. Second safety car scenario of the race. And you never know. That is Matzia's car, because he didn't get back to the pits in the end. As I said, Carl Bennett did, but his day is done because he has had outside assistance. And they're looking to hopefully just be able to almost push that car off. That JVC is going very, very, very slowly, so I do not see a scenario we get a racing lap in, to be honest. But yes, as mentioned in the comments, what a mess. And it is a bit of a mess. And there was 2 accidents in one, realistically. Coming into the entry of the corner, it was started by Carl Bennett, who really was too quick into the apex, locked up. You can see he locked up his rear of his tires. He just began to slip and slide and went into the side of his teammate Daniel Matzia, who, to be fair, I think must have seen him last second because he took a void in action, but it wasn't quite enough. And right in the same moment, Jessica Esquada did the same thing, was too deep into the corner, lost the back end, and actually went into the side initially of Sarrazin, but then over the top of him as well, landed on his rear wing, and then came back down. Sarrazin continued on for what looks like maybe a couple of corners, but the car was clearly damaged. He pulled off to the side. And Carrasquada there is out. Carl Bennett has gone to the pits and is out. Daniel Matzia was in the gravel and he's out. And Pedro Sarrazin is out. And also leaving the circuit is the safety car. And we get 1 lap dash for this race. Valerio Rinicella ahead of De Palo. Clerot in 3rd place, and you got Theodore Neal in the Santalop Racing entry in 4th. Enzo Deligny is 5th. Chiana Alazzari restarts in 6th position as they pick up speed going around Blanchimont. The really fast right-hander, which kinks then to the right, and then a right-left as they go through bus stop. You get 1 opportunity. It's got to get a good run out of Le Source so you can hook onto a draft down Eau Rouge and up Radion. This is a chance. Well, this is going to be a lap where you need to take chances. The safety car is in. This race has restarted. Clerot continues to lead. De Palo is there, but the real challenge we see is Clerot is under pressure from Theodore Neal in 4th position. Deligny just behind in 5th position. Alazzari is in 6th. But Rinicella has actually been caught somewhat by De Palo coming up the hill as he gets underneath the rear wing of his MP Motorsport rival, then goes to the outside. But can he hold the line to take the lead? He does! Fantastic! Matteo de Palo does get a draft and does take the lead from Rinicella, and Rinicella is going to be cursing his luck the 2nd day in a row that he's lost the lead just after the safety car. Clerot is still there in 3rd position, so is Theodore Neal. Deligny is pressing, is in 5th place, while Alazzari is under pressure from Christian Ho for 6th and 7th positions. 8th in the orange car, there is Geronimo Berrio, while 9th is Barrichello, and 10th is Ninovic. But out front, De Palo leads, and he had to get a run coming out of Radion. I thought initially he would be too far behind, but actually he timed it just perfectly. And now coming to the back end of the circuit. As the last of the runners, with 23 runners still on field. Peo continues to lead. Rinicella there in 2nd place. He may be too far behind to get a run on through Blanchimont. Clerot is still there in 2nd place, but it is a battle hard for 4th and 5th between, or is that 5th and 6th between Theodore Neal, Deligny, and oh, there is a bit of a change in position at the back. Oh, and I think Theodore Neal has clattered slightly with Alazzari. Deligny may have got 4th position, but it is so close to the line, and it is Rinicella has got it. 11 thousandths of a second, Rinicella got it. Incredible. Did De Palo lift off too early? I think he did. I think De Palo lifted off too early to take the checkered flag, and Rinicella has won that race by 11 thousandths of a second. Wow. Clerot has come home 3rd. Christian Ho did get through and take 4th. Alazzari's 5th. Berrio was 6th. Theodore Neal dropped to 7th in the... I think he went wide in the bus stop chicane and lost several positions through there. Fernando Barrichello. Oh, wow. Fernando Barrichello, by the way, is taking 8th. Daniel Nagala is 9th, and Federico Arafai rounding out the top point scorers in 10th positions. That's astonishing. That is absolutely astonishing. And Rinicella commiserates with De Palo on, oh my word. Clerot not winning today, but still gets a podium. That was incredible. I really do wonder if if in anticipation for the flag, De Palo lifted off. Because coming around Blanchimont, it was half a second lead he had. Yay. Yeah, De Palo dropped half a second in that final sector. And that's it. Them's the brakes. And we see the number 1 car, pole sitter, Rinicella. And there's an investigation into both Rinicella and De Palo for track limits. And I do wonder if it has something to do with that final corner, because both of them did go clean off from the exit of bus stop as they're coming back onto the circuit. But as it stands, Valerio Rinicella has won that race by 11 thousandths of a second from Matteo de Palo. Pedro Clerot came home 3rd place. Christian Ho was 4th. Keanu Alzira was 5th for MP Motorsport. Geronimo Berrio was 6th. Theophile Neal dropped from 4th to 7th in the last corner alone. Fernando Barrichello was 8th from Motorland Motorsport, with Daniel Nogales 9th, and the last point scorer was Federica Al-Rifai. The fastest lap of the race went to De Palo before the safety car, so that would be a bonus point for him, but I think that's probably not going to be a huge amount of consolation. Outside the points, Riccardo Grazia in 11th, Alex Ninovic was 12th, Flavio Oliveri came home 13th with Eric Genet 14th. Alvisa Rodea came home 15th ahead of Luciano Morano, who came from the back of the grid to 16th. Good effort. Enzo Deligny dropped back to 17th in the Malayan bus stop chicane. I didn't see if he actually went off specifically. Griffin Peebles came home 18th. Juan Cota was 19th. Theodore Jensen 20th. Alexander Abskazava 21st. Georgi Zorabski 22nd. Maximiano Restrepo was the final finisher in 23rd. Carl Bennett, Daniel Mazzio, Pablo Sarrazin, Jessica Carrasquara lost in that crash in the on the 6th lap, and then Alexander Bolduev and Noah Lyle lost at the end of the opening lap. Noah Stromstead did not start. So yes, there will be an investigation into track limits and the scenario around those track limits after this race, which we may not find out about, well, on this program at least, until Motorland Aragon in a couple of weeks' time. But we see the highlights of this race. It was a crash there between Bolduev and Noah Lyle. The safety car restart. It was a spin towards the back of the field. Aladzari went up in the air, slowed down significantly afterwards. Then it was a four-way crash, as mentioned, between Sarrazin, Mazzio Bennett and Carrasquara. And then right at the end, right at the end, Valerio Rinicella takes Matteo de Palo for the win. Well, that was astonishing. And I think we'll hear a great deal about that later on today. This is Clerot on the podium. We're going to get these podiums over relatively quickly. Matteo de Palo, the Campos Racing entry. Second, and then the race winner, finally his first race win in Spanish Formula 4, Valerio Rinicella for MP Motorsport. We shall hear the Italian national anthem.
Rinicella after this race number 3, second place for Matteo de Palo, and the third place for Brazilian driver Pedro Clerot. Congrats, guys. Just take the trophies, please, and present the trophies after this race.
And now the celebrations with the trophies and the photographs that follow. And just a reminder, if you've loved the action this weekend, we will be back in 3 weeks' time at Motorland Aragon over the weekend of the 27th to the 28th of May. We'll also be along racing with Eurocup 3 that weekend, which we also saw debuting at Spa this weekend. And then, of course, in June, we'll be back in Navarra over the 24th, 25th of June, Jerez on September 23rd to 24th, Estoril at the end of September, start of October, then Ricardo Torma in Valencia in mid-October, and then the season ends in Catalonia, Barcelona on November 11th to the 12th. We've had an absolutely fantastic weekend's racing, and it's been a real pleasure, a joy to bring it to you. Thank you all very much for watching as we see the alcohol-free champagne getting sprayed down overalls, which are not going to have any more use this weekend, so, well, why not? It's been absolutely fantastic to be here with you this weekend. This has been Spanish Formula 4. My name's Leo Corman, and I will see you in 3 weeks' time. Until then, thank you very much, and goodbye.
Team representative of MP Motorsport. Let's go with the second podium, the podium for the rookies now, just waiting for the trophies. On attend les trophées sur ce podium. And for the rookie classification, the third place coming from the MP Motorsport squads, car number 66, Geronimo Berrio. Geronimo Berrio, third place in the rookie classification.
Before we do go, we've got a rookie podium.
Second place, Matteo de Palo. Matteo de Palo, second place. Sorry, it's the first place. And the second place is for Kinu Al-Azari. Kinu Al-Azari.
Podiums for the rookie podium, Geronimo de Berrio, Canu Al-Azari, and De Palo will win that.
Rookie classification for Matteo de Palo.
Now we get trophies, and then they will.
Voilà, on a ramené les trophées. Okay, guys, let's present the trophies for the photographers. Official pictures after this race number 3 for the Spanish Formula 4. La plus haute marche du podium pour ces 3 pilotes. Bravo, messieurs. Et la belle victoire,
snap.
de Palo ici dans ce classement des rookies. Congrats, guys.
And for the second time, I will say goodbye, and this time it will actually be goodbye. As said, see you in 3 weeks' time for the second round at Motorland Aragon. We'll be back with Spanish Formula 4 and Eurocup 3 that weekend. It has been fantastic to have you. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Leo Gorman, and until then, goodbye, and thank you very much.